So Lori and Andrea here. We are the co-hosts of the YouTube channel Autism: A New Humanity. And we just want to sort of give you the overview of who we are, what we believe, how we can help, and why we're doing this. So Lori, you want to start with telling us about you?
So yeah, I'm really excited about this channel and just sharing a new way with people. I've been in the field for 27 years now. I'm on my 27th year, and I've done just about every mainstream thing. I started out as a preschool teacher in special education. I've done ABA therapy. I've tried it all, and I always felt like something was missing. Eventually, I did start working with parents, and I felt like that was the missing key. But I did have my big, what I call my turnaround story, my paradigm shift in like 1996 when I was working with a 6-year-old in the classroom, and he was building this Jenga block cabin. And one morning I just thought, oh, that looks fun. I'm just going to sit next to him. And I was just going to recreate that with him. And anyway, long story short, is I get to the roof of it and I just could not, it just collapsed every time. And finally, I had this sort of aha moment, and it was just like, wow, this kid could see things that I can't see. He was able to see from a different vantage point. And that just really woke me up to something new. And it just changed the way that I looked at autism, and it created this sort of curiosity in my mind. Like, okay, if he sees things different, then they all see things different. What am I missing out? And then I started asking better questions like, okay, keep showing me more. Show me your gifts. Instead of like me looking at the issues of the disabilities, I opened my mind to, what is possible. Change the whole story of autism. And because I had such an open mind, I started seeing new things. Eventually, I did start working after I did ABA and floor time and all of that, which never really felt right to me. It always felt like I was forcing something, and it never felt respectful, to be honest with you. I didn't feel like I was really honoring the child. Eventually, I started working with the parents, and I felt like, oh, this was it. It was like the missing piece. And I think of autism is known for like the puzzle piece. And I felt like, oh, it's the parents is the missing piece in the bigger picture. And what I mean by that is just shifting their perception of what autism is. Because after I saw with Michael that, okay, he sees things differently, what else wasn't I seeing? And so I was able to help parents shift the way that they see their child and give them strategies and tips on how to create that change. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
That's, Lori, I love the way you just described that, because what you described is really the motivation behind why we're doing this channel. And we'll get into that in just a moment, but the idea of shifting the perception of what people believe or see in autism. So I am a mother of 3 boys. My oldest has autism. He's 12. And I'm also a physician. I'm board certified in emergency medicine. And I had an autism private practice doing biomedical interventions. And then I had a 3rd son come along. So I had to give that up because I was away from my children too much. So I am the mother of 3 boys, a physician, and also an author. I wrote the book Awakened by Autism, which is my part memoir, part paradigm shifter, if you will, for parents to view autism from a different vantage point. And that sort of leads me into, what we believe. I want to kind of share what we believe, that autism really is misunderstood. And the way you were describing giving parents a new perspective is really important, because I think that 3 big areas are misunderstood: intelligence, behaviors, and potential. So, we know that many of these nonverbal, seemingly severely autistic kids are completely intellectually intact. Most people don't know that still, so we're here to share that. That behaviors really are a form of communication, and they also can be a clue into what strengths the child has, right? The way they hear things or see things. And when you do things like you did with the Jenga game and you say, hey, with curiosity, I'm going to approach this. And rather than look at it as, you know, a perseverative behavior or something, you're going to try to see curiously what's going on. What is this child seeing, doing, experiencing? And then potential. The potential for these kids is vast, and I think it's been shoved down and considered to be so limited when in fact the opposite is true. So what do you think about those things, Lori? What's your take on them?
I'll start with, I love those topics, and they're really important. And once people really get the power of how we see it, and they experiment with this, so to speak, and be curious. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to just don't judge the book by its cover, you know,
right.
Because you're going to get caught up in that whole mystery, and it's a lie. These kids are absolutely intelligent. Autism is not, in my opinion, it is not what you see. I'm just going to say it like that. Most kids, and I've been doing this, and I've worked with hundreds of children, and I can tell you that they all receive the information. I have never worked with a child, even nonverbal, that I can tell that they're not receiving the information. They would call it receptive in our world of autism. It's like, oh, are they receptive or are they expressive, right? Receptive is receiving the information. So what I've learned is, like, these children are absolutely intelligent, and they're receiving all of the information. Their cognition is intact. That's really powerful to know. And there's still a lot of people that aren't quite there, you know, believing that.
Right.
But I've seen with hundreds and hundreds of kids that every single one of these kids do believe it. But if you actually don't believe that they are receiving the information, and they will give you other behaviors that may make you look like you're correct too. But I could tell you there's 27 years. Yeah. If you look for their intelligence, you're going to see it. So I believe that they are very intelligent beings and beyond, because they have a different software. Mm-hmm. I think that's really powerful to know, because if we teach them the way that we are neurotypicals are, they have a different software. So I kind of like to compare it to like an iPhone and an Android. It's like a totally different software, and you can't communicate, you know, the two different softwares. They're separate. So you have to learn how to communicate with an Android or an iPhone, iOS. Mm-hmm. So same thing with autistics, is you have to learn how they process information. And it's not hard once you get curious. You have to be curious. And they are very sensitive, which means their senses are very heightened. And that's why, like, every parent will see their child running to the window when when the trash truck is coming or the ice cream truck. And even though we can't hear any of the music or the trash truck coming, somehow they do. Mm-hmm. So once we realize that it's not that out there, their senses are very heightened. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool. It's like, wow, you know, my child is, you know, absolutely tuned in.
Yeah. And that's important for parents to understand that. And that leads us to another, you know, one of the reasons we're doing this channel, how we can help people, right? We want to bridge that gap between what's going on in their world and what we believe and see going on in our world. So we're here to do that by sharing stories that inspire and teach, and offering practical information, how to approach autism from a whole new vantage point. So that's really the driving force behind why we're doing this YouTube channel, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's exciting. It's bringing in new information, and it's really honoring and respecting these children that are different, but not less. Just like Dr. Temple Grandin says.
Yes.
And anything is possible.
Yeah.
You know, and you just have to believe it.
Yeah, and that leads me to get into the fourth issue here, you know, why we're doing it. We're doing it because right now there's a lot of pain and suffering surrounding autism still. And we truly have the information and the stories and the resources to shift that way of thinking. We really do. And that's our intention here, to shift people and families and individuals out of that pain and suffering scenario, to anchor in this new way of being, not just recognizing it in these children and individuals, but also in the way we show up in the world. So really helping individuals, helping families, because ultimately we all want to thrive. And they are just such a special population that is really, I say sent me kicking and screaming into this way of thinking, but I'm so grateful that I've ended up over here, because with my own child, it was quite a struggle in the beginning, but I'm so grateful for the messages that I've understood and received now from this population. And we just really want the rest of the world to see it the way we see it, so we can start having some fun, right?
And another big piece that we're bringing in is that we're actually getting the communication through these individuals on the spectrum. It's not all about our experience, although I think that's important as well, but also bringing in, children and adults and that are on the spectrum that actually can share their personal experience, because we can't really possibly know how it is to be autistic unless we are living that experience. So We're really excited. We have a lot of goodies up our sleeve for sure.
Definitely. And we have some wonderful things to share, especially from our friend in Portugal, our nonverbal friend who writes to us, and a bunch of other kids and adults that we're going to share, and practical information from your background, practical information from my background. We do want to address the physical challenges with some natural healing sort of modality. So it's really a big picture sort of endeavor here.
I think what you said is really key, which is a holistic point of view.
Yeah.
Versus like just looking at the light of autism or the gifts. We're really looking at the whole picture, which will really support the families and the educators, and really also inviting the educators and people that are really interested in this topic. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges, but there's so many beautiful things too. So we're going to bridge that gap. We're going to show you how to address the challenges while supporting this other side of autism. So glad we're going to be doing this together, Lori. And really have everybody's best intentions for fulfilling the life they came here to live.
Exactly. There's got to be a reason why they're here, and there's something that they're teaching us. So let's bring it.
Bring it on. All right.
All right.
Blessings to all of you out there. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.